And you're live.
All right. Thank you, and welcome everyone to the March meeting for the City of Annapolis Environmental Commission. So we're joined tonight by Tilly Coyle. So we have from Annapolis Green. So we'll be talking to her shortly and hearing about all the great things that Annapolis Green is working on currently and on the horizon. So we're very grateful to her to join us from up north in Vermont. Very glad, and that's why it's great having Zoom sometimes, so that we're still able to connect even when we're scattered around. So I do just want to get us started right away with our roll call. So I'll just go around the horn with the commission members based on who I see where on my screen. Linda Matthew. And can you go ahead and just to make sure that the audio is working, just say your ward, maybe.
I'm here. Linda's here.
Thank you. And which ward are you again? Ward 5, 7,
Five.
5.
Ward 5.
All right, Kathy, you're next on my screen.
Hi, Ward 5 also.
Sarah,
Isn't Water.
thank you. Marianne,
Marianne Marbury, Ward 1.
Bill,
Bill O'Leary, Ward 2.
Jenny, our vice chair,
Jenny Janice, Ward 6.
and Alicia.
Felicia, Ward 7.
Thank you. And with the city, we have Jackie.
Yes, hello. Jackie Gile, Deputy City Manager for Resilience and Sustainability.
And I'm Jeremy Hansen, Chair, also from Ward 5. So we have everyone, and I won't be surprised if our final member joins a little late. But we'll go ahead and dive right in. I put Tilly up at the front, and we'll get to the business items and administration after we have spend our time with her. So Tilly, I'll turn it over to you, and we'll try to have some time for discussion.
Hey, Jeremy, do you want to hit the minutes first?
I was going to save those for later, actually.
Okay.
When we get to later on the agenda. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm exactly 1 year on the job as Executive Director of Annapolis Green, and I'm taking over for Elvia Thompson, which many of you likely know. And I'm thinking just based on your membership and recognized names that a lot of you already have some familiarity with Annapolis Green. We have been, working in doing activities connected to our mission to inspire, inform, and connect the greater Annapolis area to live more responsibly and sustainably since 2006 with our Green Drinks program. So fast forward, we became officially a nonprofit, an organization in 2017, but have been doing various projects around Annapolis. I'll say, for instance, bringing recycling to the boat show 2013, taking the Rotary Crab Feast Zero Waste. I think that was 2014. And then becoming officially our own nonprofit in 2017. The signature events, that we put on every year is right now we put on 6 Green Drinks networking events. They take place at the, sustainable hotspots. We try and target places that have good eco stories or are adding sustainable practices to their businesses. They're usually the restaurants, but we also go to Peka House Gardens, Homestead Gardens, and that's where we gather really anyone who has an interest in wanting to become more involved in local environmental initiatives. Our kind of mantra there is come to Green Drinks, learn one new thing and make one new contact. And since, this past year, I've come on to Annapolis Green, we had 2 of them, or actually 3, that we had a count of over 100 people in attendance. So we're having a nice surge in attendance. We used to do them every month, and now we do them every other month. The other signature event that we do is an EV showcase. We do one a year, and the one we have coming up is April 14th. It's going to be on West Street from, we shut down Calvert, the street from Calvert to Church Circle. And it's an EV showcase. So we are educating the public on driving electric and connecting it, the transportation and the greenhouse gas pollution that comes from the transportation sector to the overall climate crisis. So it's a Drive Electric Earth Day event. So we also have an Earth Day activities for kids. And this year in particular, we're having the Maryland Agricultural Education Foundation come out with they have a very large ag tag trailer with activities. So there'll be a very large trailer with Earth Day with an agricultural bend, activities at the EV showcase, and then Core Shark H2O, who conducts environmental programs in a lot of the local elementary schools. They're going to have an interactive watershed kids activity that day as well. So that's on a Sunday, and it's 2 to 5. It is, if you could believe it, our 15th EV educational event that we've had in Annapolis. We sometimes do one in the fall, but we've kind of dialed it back to just doing one high quality EV event a year. But we stay involved with the EVA DC and post events like Ask an EV Owner, which take place every Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month, on our community calendar. So those are our signature events. And then we also put out our newsletter, which comes out twice monthly. And in the newsletter, our goal is to connect the Annapolis community with all the goings-ons and current issues, environmental issues that Annapolitans are facing. We are also members of the Citizens Campaign for the Environment. So there's a lot of advocacy work that I'm involved in from January to April. So we'll have sign-ons and action elements that people can learn about which bills are moving through the State House and which ones need the most help from the community. So those are our very connected activities to our mission, to inspire, inform, and connect people to come together, learn about the environment, and take action. We also run a services side, a solution side, where we've been greening events. And when I say greening events, it's taking events, large events and festivals, plastic free or zero waste. And we had a very big events year. I think I'm going to share my screen. Let me see here. I'm going to, here we go, to show you what some of I'll say what's on the left here, what our 2023, we formerly called this program REF, Responsible Events and Festivals, but we now call it Bay Responsible. The numbers that we had this past year, and these are events that take place from early April through the end of December, kind of culminating in Military Bowl. We had a very big zero waste initiative at the Military Bowl this past December. So we were involved in 81 events. 14 of them were zero waste and 67 were plastic free. 17 events hosted multiple Naptown taps. Naptown taps are portable water refill stations. You may have seen them around. They have a very neat profile, that a cutout to put your water bottle into. The water that comes out is actually filtered within the unit and cold via a chiller that we have. So when I say there are 17 that had multiple taps, that's when they contracted with us to have maybe 2, 3, 4 at a single event. Longest single tap rental, we had 16 days at a sailing camp through Brendan Sailing. Longest multi-tap was Annapolis Boat Shows. Most water dispensed, Annapolis Baygrass Festival. They had 1,924 liters, but what that translates into when we talk about single-use plastic water bottles, it was 3,484 plastic water bottles that were kept out of the waste stream by the Baygrass Festival. And they did not allow any of their vendors to sell plastic water bottles. So people came very intentional with, they are going to leave a very small waste footprint 37 volunteers is our volunteer corps. We only have 2 staff people right now, and so we rely heavily on our volunteers. And the volunteers are the ones that might help us with a zero waste event like Military Bowl, sorting trash, also helping us getting the taps to and from events. We like to have someone with the tap promoting why they're there, which is, delivering a plastic-free message. So in total, we did we tracked every single event and all our leaders dispensed. We kept 13,789 plastic water bottles from the waste stream using our Naptown taps. So that gives you a little bit of our busyness, if you will, on that services side, what we're doing to make all events and festivals in Annapolis Bay responsible, plastic free, or zero waste. So that's I can take a break if you like I'm trying to quit the share. Oh, there we go. Pardon me. For questions, if you have them right now. I have, I can give you a little bit of 2 of our current efforts or our goals for 2024, but I just laid down a lot of information in terms of just the core piece of what we do, and then also just what our events load looked like this past year. And I think Marianne.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about
Sure.
about the EV event and I guess what your accomplishments have been and what you hope to accomplish and how you're tied in with the city?
Yeah, definitely. So the EV event, I think last year we also had it on West Street. We had it on West Street. We had it on Saturday. It was a dinner with Under the Stars, and it was actually a rescheduled date. We estimated that we had about the foot traffic between 600 and 800 people, but the engagement with our EVs and people were less. Of a couple of key folks, EV drivers that we asked to kind of keep account, said around 200. This year, we're trying to be more intentional around making it just about the EVs. There's not dinner under the stars happening. And we want to drive people really to come and engage in what our united cause, in Earth Day, to preserving what we have for future generations, but also connect to the electric vehicles piece. So we are adding the event is 2 to 5, and we're adding a pre-event. We're calling it the Electrified Brunch, and it's a panel, it's a question answer that's happening right between 1 and 1:45. So I'm asking folks in our community to come with their questions. What is keeping you from driving electric? And we're offering some of our top sponsors spots on those panels so they can also come and talk about, for instance, Highland Electric, the electric school buses, Blue Whale EV, and some of what they are providing. And a lot of them, not the school buses, but the others, connect to charging and charging infrastructure, which we know, is one of the things that keep people from the event. So I guess what we're hoping to accomplish is really just getting the word out about driving electric, continuing to engage our partners that we're engaged with right now. Like, for instance, we have the city coming out with their GEM cars, and the Current will be there. The USNA Naval Academy is coming with their GEM car that they use on campus. So people will get a visual of those. We don't have Bird this year, I believe. Well, actually, we're told that Bird is going out of business I'm not sure what the situation is. So we don't have a lot in the micro EV front. I'm working with South River STEM to try and they've got it. Their Solar Hawks team is winning awards.
Okay.
I want to try and get that age group out and parents out. We have DC News Now coming, and they're going to do some broadcasting from a GEM car for the event. They're actually coming out 2 days. First day, they're going to the Annapolis Cup, and we're greening the Annapolis Cup, or taking it plastic free, not 100% zero waste. But 6 of our taps are going to be there. So they're going to cover the Annapolis Cup, and then they're covering the EV showcase. And this is all for an Earth Day segment that they're doing, but they're coming out to see what Annapolis has going on. So we'll get some nice coverage there as well. And definitely, you know, we don't have Electrified Marine or Candela, or we reach out to the EV vessels. But this year so far we're zero. It might be good to have information, the latest information about the electric ferry
Right.
available
Yeah.
at the event, or maybe have it at the electrified brunch panel. It's the first time we're doing that panel. I'm hoping, you know, we're hoping it'll be like a good platform, little, you know, not to say the EV showcases are great. The enthusiastic drivers really sell the experience, and but there's no central program per se, you know, where you have a speaker.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But
Who's
we
on the
will
panel?
have
Is it existing EV drivers that are on the panel, or is it?
And no, the existing EV drivers are really the ones who pull up their cars and will be on
Okay.
the street sharing their experience.
Okay.
The Beth Caro from AutoTag Connect is helping us put together the panel, but we are inviting Delegate Fraser Hidalgo to come and talk about the latest in going on in the State House to support driving electric. We're reserving spots for our sponsors. And then there's EVADC has a couple experts. Ron Colton-Baugh is an excellent speaker. I've seen him on a panel. He'll be there. So that's all we have right now. It's sort of a piece that we're adding on, but
Yeah.
we're excited about it because you know, we want there to be, I think, from this EV showcase, a focus on information and some more tangible outcomes, you know, where people can come to one central place and maybe learn a few new things. So
Yeah. Well, I liked you said, you know, the question, you know, what's preventing you from driving a, you know, electric vehicle? I mean, that's such a key question, you know, so if there can be a conversation around that, you know, you can.
yeah.
And,
And well, I put it out in a newsletter, you know, to start generating those questions, but they haven't come yet. So, but I'll do it again in my next newsletter, which is this coming Friday. I think is that the 8th? No, that's the 5th. So I'll put it out again, and hopefully we'll get some more
Yep.
responses. Jenny.
Hi.
Hi.
I think for me, one of the things I'll be interested in learning more about, I've been trying to educate myself about, is the batteries. And I think, you know, I've heard a lot of people just unsure if they want to buy a used car, because sometimes the price point for the new ones is not where they want to be, even with the 7,500 tax benefit. But sometimes you just, you know, people like to buy used, but there's some lack of education in like how you review a used EV car, and like from the batteries perspective, because I know those batteries only have a certain amount of life. I've heard to replace them is not worth it in some cases because of the cost, but all of that it's sort of a cloud.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the battery comes up a lot, and particularly like even the mining or the environmental costs on the battery side. But that bringing up on the used is good. You know, generally the cost to maintain an EV are less, but I never hear a focused conversation just about battery and battery replacement. You're generating the questions right now, so thank you.
Okay, great.
Alicia.
Hi, yeah. So have you guys worked with the city of Annapolis to on their development of rules and regulations for charging electric vehicles? Because as far as I know right now, there are no regulations on type 2 chargers currently crossing public walkways and sidewalks.
No regulations. No, we don't. We amplify and put out information, but don't, and advocate, and we do a lot of advocating on this, on the state level through the CCE, but not as much in the city unless we get, you know, a core group that asks us. But we're sometimes a conduit, you know, we'll take things to Jackie or people on the city council, and just get the information and report it back. But
Okay.
So we don't have any regulations
Yeah.
on, I'm not sure what you want to regulate.
So, I heard that the Department of Public Works might be adopting the Department of Transportation DC's regulations on the type of chargers that can cross sidewalks, which a lot of homeowners have, you know, like townhomes or condos, and a type 2 charger is, I guess, the 240 volt, which takes like 8 hours to charge a vehicle, but the 120 volt, which is your type 3 charger, takes like 40 hours. So me as a personal
that's just-
homeowner, that's the issue I'm dealing with. I live in a townhome community and I can't have a type 2 charger possibly cross the sidewalk because it becomes a safety hazard. So I
Okay,
think
so
that would
we allow the 120 volt, you know, just your regular plug, like an extension cord right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's a cover kind of thing that the Department of Public Works allows.
Yeah.
And
But
people
that
are allowed
takes
to do that.
40 hours to charge a vehicle. So
yes, that's
probably
what I refer to as dribble drip.
Yep.
Yeah. Electricity. We don't have the L2 yet, but I can.
Okay.
I've not heard from Public Works anything about a regulation. I would be the one who would know that. So I will find out from the director what is going on there, if anything at all. Be extremely surprised if there was something going on with that. So I'll find out. And
because I think that's something most of your homeowners are going to be running into as an issue in Annapolis.
Yeah, and what I'm looking, I mean, I don't want to take away from Tilly's thing. We can talk about this later. But what I'm looking into now too is a number of vendors have come to me about light pole charging and ways we can retrofit our light poles so we can do street charging. Yeah, so there's some ideas around that. But then there's the idea of L2 plug-in across the sidewalk. So I will look into that.
All right, I see another question from Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks. So, yeah, and I will mention Paul. I think it was Paul who talked about those light pole retrofits last month. So, be interesting to see if those can maybe get some attention in the city and maybe even show up at a future EV showcase. But I also just wanted to mention, since we're talking about like EV questions and common things people ask about or are curious about, the NPR's Up First program. They have a podcast and they put out a Sunday Story 30-minute episode, just all their readers' questions about EVs and like what their curiosities or hangups are. So I think that's a great place to go to hear some of the common questions and some very thought out responses from the NPR journalists. So highly recommend that. I'm only halfway through, but I've already learned so much about batteries and just the life cycle
Excellent
comparisons of standard cars versus the electric vehicles. And it's surprising how effective and recyclable even some of the newer batteries are. They're outlasting the cars themselves, and the batteries can be recycled at the rate of like 95, 98% in some cases. So I think when you start, I guess I have the same questions about the batteries and the mining impacts and everything else, but hearing some of that information was surprising, just how, once the researchers put the information out there, I think it comes out pretty favorably for EVs, and then the real hangups just come down to those practical concerns over cost and when people can afford to buy a new car.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all. And
So that's
Tilly,
called Up First. Is it a series? It's an NPR
Yeah, it's a daily news,
A daily
short
news.
form news. So I think they're on the radio, but they have a podcast format where you can find it more easily.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I think that the technology is, swiftly changing. There's a lot of new information and it's a lot to keep up with. We are toying with doing a second show. During National Drive Electric Week. That's in late September. Right now though, we're going to actually see how this April goes. We're going to see how April 14th goes and maybe judge it there. I mean, if we gain some steam and get a lot of questions and community, and we build community around this issue, that this is part of what Annapolis Green exists for, is to kind of create forums for talking about these issues and finding solutions. So, well, those are our signature events, and then our services side. As you encounter anyone who is interested in those Naptown taps, send them our way. They're kind of booking up rather quickly. Which is a great sign. I think that people are interested in reducing waste at these large events. We're learning that environmental protection does not have, you can have a good time and also be good to the environment too. So we hope to have another really good tap season, zero waste season. The two things I think that are new, or areas that Annapolis Green is venturing into in 2024, is that we have been engaging with the business community in Annapolis. We have a goal for 2024 to get more businesses on the Maryland Green Registry. It's a state program under Maryland Department of the Environment that is free and flexible. Businesses choose their 5 practices, sustainable practices that they're going to implement. One of them has to be measurable. And so that is an initiative we're working on. I was on a panel last October at the Chesapeake Bay Trust that was, about promoting sustainable businesses. And all of us on the panel kind of created a small group that have kept in touch, and we've been doing mixers. And this is less formal. Annapolis Green has these open to the public, large signature events, but then we're also talking to businesses and having mixers every other month to talk about the Maryland Green Registry, and really just to get together and share practice. Our next one of those is on April 23rd. It's at Made Plus, the sustainable shoe wear micro factory over on Admiral Cochrane Road. And they're kind of coming about because we're Annapolis Green is, we're keeping an email list of the sustainable businesses. And we're also communicating it out to our founding 100s, many of which are businesses. But really, Made Plus came to us and they wanted to do the mixer. Green Bean Boutique was the first mixer in January, and they wanted to kind of continue the conversation that we started at that Chesapeake Bay Trust panel. So our hope at Annapolis Green is that we will end the year with 15 new Annapolis-based businesses on the Maryland Green Registry. And we are two successfully in. My partner Lynn spoke with the Chesapeake Crossroads Heritage Area site coordinators to get some of those sites either on the Green Registry or renewed. So that'll be a conversation that you'll hear from me and Annapolis Green throughout 2024. And then the other piece is that we're trying to get youth involved. This is in, creating a stronger youth presence, we'll say, in our volunteer corps. And then also we want to have not just the taps out at these festivals. We'd like to have youth or a table set up where we're promoting the message. And so to that end, we are a host organization for the Chesapeake Conservation Climate Corps program. This is put on by the Chesapeake Bay Trust. And so we will be hopefully interviewing candidates. And these are candidates that are right out of the university. They're going to be, more experienced. That begins on August 15th. It lasts a whole year. These Chesapeake Climate Corps members get an outstanding background in conservation and Chesapeake Bay work. Everyone they get placed with, and right when I go to meetings right now, and and meet people at other small environmental organizations. Many of them got their start through this program. So I'm hopeful that we get it. One of the Chesapeake, I keep getting tongue-tied with it, Chesapeake Conservation Climate Corps member. But I also want to share that we are a member organization. I think this was here for the Maryland Climate Corps Service Year Option Program. Now, this is Governor Moore announced a service year program, I want to say back in the fall, where he is providing this opportunity for youth. It's a 1-year program, and these are high school graduates. So I am looking for students that are about to graduate, class of 2024, but they can also be class of 2023, class of 2022, 2021. And the idea is that you take part in this service year, and it's a paid program, $15 an hour. It's actually for 10 months. And at the end of the 10 months, you will get a bonus stipend that it's $6,000 that'll go into a 529 or will be a cash stipend. But the whole idea is that his goal in the service year, Governor Moore's, is to develop a green collar workforce, a pathway into future climate jobs. So Annapolis Green is also a host organization. Here we can have 2 to 3 Maryland Climate Corps members. So getting youth involved, expanding our network is a goal of mine, a goal of the organization this next year. And then getting members, more businesses on the Maryland Green Registry is another 2024 goal. So, and I guess
Tilly,
with
just
that, I'll
sorry,
take questions. Sure.
well, you were just screen sharing the events infographic
Oh.
again. So if there was something else you're
shoot.
trying to show us,
You didn't see the
it.
Maryland. Okay,
Yeah.
I saw it, and let me see if I can. I'll get rid of this. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try this again. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. I didn't want to interrupt you while you're talking, but
Yeah, I can talk. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. Of course, I can't see it, but we'll see if this is the right one. There we go. How's that? Are we seeing join the Maryland Climate Corps?
oh, not yet. I just see,
A tiny little strip.
yeah, I'm seeing like a
Strange.
taskbar.
Yeah. Okay, let me stop share again. Sorry, guys. See, this is not my forte, huh? Try it again. Here we go. Oh, I'm not sure if you're going to see it. Let's see. Here we go. How's that?
There it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks for your patience there. And I can follow up with links to this program, our Maryland Green Registry information following. I can send it through to you, Jeremy, to share out with everybody. But so here's the Maryland Climate Corps Service Year option. They are starting a cohort on April 22nd, Earth Day. And I've been recruiting, trying to get the word out and get some local Annapolis youth to make an application. And then the next cohort is going to start in mid-June. So it's going to be able to capture some of those recent high school graduates. And I hope we're successful. Like I'd really like to get the word out about this program. It's so intentional on getting, building a workforce development in green collar jobs in the climate space. And, we at Annapolis Green, being as small as we are, could really use the help, number one, but number two, we really want to have the youth involved in our programs and just in the issues that we're facing in Annapolis. So any questions about, it could be about Maryland Climate Corps, the business community work that we're working on.
Hi, Tilly.
Yeah.
With the zero waste events, I was just talking to somebody the other day about how, yeah, you can have zero waste events, but if you don't have a contractor that will take your compostables to the appropriate facility, then it kind of all ends up in the wrong place.
Mhm.
You guys still working with Veterans Compost?
Yeah, we do. In fact, they're our number one for zero waste events. Of course, Veteran likes to do the larger events, and we
Yeah,
prefer them because they measure the pounds or tons.
yeah.
We're very into metrics. You know, we provide a green savings afterwards that will tell you exactly how many pounds of food waste were captured.
Mhm.
So any zero waste that we do, we contract with the composter, and usually it's Veterans, sometimes it's Annapolis Compost.
Okay.
Our green drinks events are always zero waste, and they're always Annapolis Compost.
Okay, they're Annapolis Compost. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah,
Mary?
Tilly, is there I thought there was an initiative through you for citizens to compost. Is that still alive, or is that?
That's actually a city program now that we were involved in a pilot, and the composting program is ongoing at Truxton Park.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the one. Okay, great.
Any other questions?
So
Yeah.
that's the one that started out with pumpkins, and then it was so popular we did pumpkins again, and then we decided to just leave it there in Truxton, and that's Annapolis Compost that picks up from there, from
Is there-
Truxton.
Is there any, does that pilot have like kind of an end to the pilot phase, or is it sort of just ongoing until?
Oh, it's no longer a pilot. That's an
Okay.
ongoing public works program now. We turned that into an ongoing. What we did a curbside food scrap collection pilot also about 2 years ago in Hunt Meadows to see what participation would be like. And then Public Works is still considering whether or not we will extend food scrap collection as a curbside service in the future to all Annapolitans.
I think I know a lot of people that would love that. Do you know what is the sticking point? I mean, I guess obviously everything is always cost, but is that it?
Well, it's partially cost and then partially where we would take our food scraps. And we had hoped to do a project with Anne Arundel County, and Marcia Patrick in Public Works has been working on that for a long time, pushing with the county. And the county is they have contracts already that are working for them. And they're not saying that they will never work with the county and the city, but the city needs the county's scraps. We don't have enough of a material stream to justify our own composting facility. So we did a study, and the site that was selected would be by the solar park for a composting facility. And, there's a whole study's been done, and they've looked at it and what would work, what would not work. But we really need that waste stream with the county to make it viable. And right now, the county's not playing with us. So I don't know if it's completely dead in the water. If we would look at other facilities, I can double check with Public Works. I just haven't heard them pursuing it. There was going to be, as part of the survey, we were going to do a survey and a number of questions for city residents. That question about would you be interested in curbside food scrap collection was going to be on there. So I can check back with Public Works to see if they're still going to add that question and if they're still interested in curbside collection.
And Annapolis Compost, they were running pilots for neighborhoods. So you could talk to your neighborhood and they would do like a week-long pilot, and then give you a quote to do something more regular. So you do have that.
Because they will give you they'll give you a discount if you get enough of your neighbors to do it in your neighborhood.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
Because Annapolis Compost did our pilot for us in Hunt Meadows. We did it for 6 months though.
It's just the places where I've lived, where I've had curbside, it's remarkable how much it reduces from the waste stream going to the landfill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I don't know where, I honestly don't know the landfill situation, or if there's some kind of like cost benefit there with reducing the waste stream going to the landfill, and if that's filling
Yeah,
up.
What we found in Hunt Meadows, they already had Annapolis Compost already had customers in Hunt Meadows. The city offered it for 6 months at no cost. So I think we only picked up like 40 more customers during that period, and it was no cost. We were kind of surprised.
Mhm.
Well, that would be
Yeah.
interesting if that comes up again. You know, Annapolis Green, we would amplify and get the message out for any kind of pilot or next steps there.
I
So
have a pretty good neighborhood that everyone talks to each other. So maybe we can maybe I'll talk to Annapolis Compost and see what their discount is.
excellent. Yeah, highly recommend. So our next green drinks, we have one coming up May 16th at Garten. It's in Severna Park. The following one after that is going to be at the Pecos House Gardens with a plastic-free July theme. Our theme this May is, you know, Garten is an ocean-friendly restaurant. So I've talked a little bit about Maryland Green Registry, but we've also had a big uptick in Annapolis with Annapolis restaurants becoming ocean-friendly. It's a designation under Surfrider Foundation. And we went from having 0 to now we have, I think, 5 in Grano, Forward, Preserve, Garten. I'm missing that 5th, but that's big. That's all happened within the last 3 or 4 months. So that's something to be proud of. So yes, Garten is the next one. We'll talk about ocean-friendly restaurant status and locally sourcing, what they do to locally source their ingredients, and what they are serving there. Again, Pecos House will be all about plastic-free July, you know, sharing the tips, and what you can be doing, taking the pledge. Plastic-free July is really an international movement, but this is our Annapolis version of it. And then we'll be at Pussers in September. We're going to be celebrating or doing our last green drinks there. Annapolis Green has had several green drinks there over the years. So that'll be kind of the final, and it'll be right before boat show. So that theme is going to be really around our marine trades, clean regattas, sailors for the sea. So that's that's what we have going here at Annapolis Green. I would love I'd love any questions, suggestions that you have for us as an organization, and then really just your support out there. We get by on contribution income. So we have a big online fundraiser with the Green Give that happens in early June. These are 13 hardworking, very hyper local, kind of like Annapolis Green's very hyper local, smaller nonprofits, and we have a fundraising drive on June 5th and 6th. And then we just want to grow our community. We want that younger folks, but we just want engagement. You know, we want people to come out of the EV show wanting more, wanting to do more, wanting to talk more. Same things with the green drinks. We always find, we call it the magic of green drinks, you know, people find their next jobs. They create projects and initiatives. The early initiatives of Annapolis Green kind of came out of those conversations at Green Drink. So I think that we're having a major uptick in participation, and I want to see it continue. So join us is all I can.
I'm laughing because I got my job as the executive director of the Chesapeake Legal Alliance through Green Drinks.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I was told, you got to meet these ladies, Elvie and Lynn, they're great. And I was an environmental lawyer, and they're like, you got to meet these ladies, and you got to meet this guy, Russ Stevenson. He's trying to start this nonprofit, Chesapeake Legal Alliance. And so that's how I met one of the board members, the president. And he's like, I didn't realize I was on a job interview.
There you
You'd
go.
be a great ED. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. You do make connections through Annapolis Green. And
I know.
Annapolis Green has done a lot of work for the city. We worked with them. We got DNR funding for Plastic Free Annapolis. Our Plastic Free Annapolis program was started through Annapolis Green, and then we followed that with No Butts in the Bay, the cigarette butt campaign, and I'm still working with LV on projects. And we will, oh, and Tilly, I hope you know, we do promote, if you send our PIO information about the EV shows, we do promote it. We'll put it on social media.
Okay,
Yep.
excellent. Yeah, well,
And I think it's a great idea to go to one
done that a
show. Yeah, one show a year, because I think, you know, even the drivers that you ask to participate, we get a little burnout.
No, listen, we are a very small staff, or myself and a part-time founder. So by necessity, we want to do what we do and do it well. So yeah, I was not uncertain, especially as busy as we've been with the with our greening events. So but yes,
And
what's that?
You mentioned the electric ferry. Are you talking about the city ferry, right?
Yeah, the pilot.
Mhm.
So when we take hold, I think when that press release came out, I put it out in the newsletters, anything in all things that can kind of track back to reducing greenhouse gases and whatever we can do. Annapolis Green, a lot of what we end up promoting is in the behavior change realm, which can be tough because it's hard to measure. It's hard to measure, but we're trying to just get the information to people on the steps the small things that they can do to be better and easier on our environment. So yes, I'll include any updates on the electric ferry if we have any. And it's just good to get people in the know of the technology that's out there. Last boat show, there was so much fascinating and really cool electric technology, even from like these little outboard motors that you could pack up into a backpack and things like that. So all good stuff. So it's EVs now, and we'll get into, we're always in the compost game with the zero waste. We're not going to do we've been having Veteran doing a compost sale where we bring the compost from our big events all year and we sell it back in around Earth Day time, but we are not going to do that program this year, mostly because I still have 15 bags in my garage from last year. Anyway, well, any other questions? It's a very wonderful meeting, everyone. I can send a couple things back to the group, including my contact phone and email, for further discussion and just to make sure you use Annapolis Green as a resource and point people to us when we can help.
Yeah, we'll appreciate that. And I know some of our members are pretty good about reminding us about upcoming green drinks events and everything else. So definitely continue to share that amongst ourselves and colleagues. Certainly a lot of complimentary work, as a voluntary commission that meets once a month. There's certainly limits to what we can accomplish, but certainly full support for all of Annapolis Green's work from, I think I can speak for all of our members. So I'm not sure if any of our 9 members are among those 37 volunteers you mentioned, but that wouldn't surprise me.
I see.
And maybe next year we can be if we aren't.
Paul Murphy and Jackie, you guys are founding 100s. So I'm sure they're part of who's keeping you guys in the know. But no, we'd love to, like I said, we're on an uptick right now. We really want to strengthen and get, make our community stronger. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good rest of your meeting, and I'll be in touch, or be in touch with me, either or.
Yeah, both. Thank you, Tilly. Have a good night. Let's see. I did want to pivot into a discussion of priorities as well. And then we can get into, after that, the minutes and then staff updates and kind of the normal business. But I will say I haven't been able to get very far as my own brainstorming for priorities, but I have created a copy in our Google folder of our 2023 priorities, and put it in a folder where it makes more sense for 2024. not sure if it's worth pulling that up. I'm almost of the mind where maybe we just kind of hit the reset button and start with like a list of 4 or 5 things as opposed to maybe just recycling previous year's list. But like I said, I haven't done a lot of thinking or brainstorming on this myself yet. So just
It-
curious to hear from others.
It could be useful to bring up the document. I always have trouble finding it in Google Drive.
Yeah, that's why one reason why I made a copy. Let me see. So this is last year's priorities in letter form to the mayor and city council. But did I see a hand? Was that Mary Ann?
Yeah. I was just wondering whether it might be a good idea to either pick a time, either at a meeting or at another time, but maybe April or May, have us all review in detail the priorities and then come back. And I like your suggestion of maybe simplifying it and coming up with a manageable list that we really can have some impact on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that, especially if we do our homework like I did not this time. So yeah, what would help facilitate that best? Just making sure we share out this document, making sure y'all have access to it as a starting point, or how can we facilitate that?
I think deadlines are always good.
Yeah, for me, definitely.
Let me just ask you guys a question. Did Racine provide you with the plastic bag memo that I recently had my resilience fellow produce?
I don't recall seeing it, but maybe I just missed it.
Because I'm just seeing here the litter and waste reduction. You have research ban, and
that's from last year.
Yeah, I know, but that's something that was recently done. And so I just want to let you know that we've done that research, and I can provide you that memo.
That'd be great.
Okay, so you can cross that off the list. It was done.
Yeah, I was hoping we could do that.
And I've provided that information to Alderman Savage and others on the Environmental Matters Committee and City Manager's Office, and he's been drafting legislation regarding that, so we can expect to see that soon. But we have the background memo on it. So let me get that to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. But well, yeah, I don't think we want to take up too much time going through this tonight. I do like the approach of just working offline and trying to compile that ahead of the next meeting.
What I can help you guys with too, with going through that list, Jeremy, you're going to send that out again, or what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I can send that out by email as well. That is a copy that exists in our 2024 folder.
Yeah.
I think everyone has access.
Well, what I can do if you send that out again is go through it and make sure and reply to everybody, because some of the things may have been addressed in the meantime in different partially. Because I just saw a couple other things like Public Works that addressed a couple of those things at least partially. So I can just highlight that for everybody, just so they have that information.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be very helpful. And let's see, I don't have my calendar in front of me. Is our next meeting the 24th? Yeah, so 24th. So maybe say by April 17th, maybe we try to have done brainstorming independently on priorities and maybe try to whittle it down from there. And thank you, Bill. I see you've sent the link out.
Well, I sent it to you, but
okay. I'll forward it.
When I searched 2024 in my Google Drive, if this helps anybody, I found it. So it's
Yeah,
in
I've got it too.
2024 documents.
I think I'm still having trouble getting into the Google Drive. I haven't tried again lately, but
Okay, well, hopefully that pops up in your email with the link. But if anyone isn't able to access it, just reach out to me by email. Make sure you're added. I know there are some other like kind of legacy issues now that I think past members are still like the owners of the overall folder and things of that nature, but I believe I'm still able to add people and the like, which I think I did for everyone, but let me know if otherwise. And something I like to do is star like the folder, the AEC folder, because if you're like me and you have tons of Google documents, it's impossible to find them unless you have them starred. So I star the folder, and then searching like Jenny suggested is the also quickest way. All right, so we'll consider that an action item then for ourselves for brainstorming independently by April 17th, and then we can try I'll try to figure out a way we can whittle it down either over email leading up to the meeting or maybe live on the meeting. And Kathy?
so I guess as a still fairly new member, I guess and I haven't really had a chance, look at that list yet. When we pick items to work on, is it so we're making recommendations or passing on information to the city council? What is our goal with these priorities? What is like the end result?
Yeah, mostly that advisory function. I think we've also discussed efforts to maybe have a more like what's the word, liaison role with like communities or other entities, but I haven't seen those really play out super effectively. But we can also explore other options of maybe we want to have a community forum of our own as the AEC or something, or host or partner, things of that nature. But I think for the most part, it is more about the advisory roles.
So you can establish those priorities and then work on them with regard to city projects as they fit. So if your goal was to say you want to strive to put solar wherever you can. So every time, if you're going to look at what projects are being developed, like say certain buildings are being built by the city, you would want to put in comments on those projects as it's going through planning commission or other committees to say, put the Annapolis Environmental Commission's comments in about you want solar on that building and why. And maybe you put in written comments, you could appear before the planning commission. You could do research to support what you're proposing. I mean, different things like that. That's just one example where you could be effective. If city council's taking up something like that, legislation, you go and you can testify, you can submit written testimony. You can come up with proposals for the city to consider. So it's kind of anywhere and everywhere where you develop these goals and then how you find ways to affect them. And this commission has an advisory capacity, but you can, as I said, you can submit testimony before, you can appear before council, before commissions, before committees, other commissions and boards, before standing committees. And you can write letters to the mayor, to the city manager, to different department heads. We review development plans. It's something we can always do. And, we have, again, taking solar as an example, the Department of Planning and Zoning had that grant from HUD where they were looking at HACA and Eastport Terrace to do this redevelopment project. They had that Community Neighborhood Initiative grant where they were doing a study of what could be done there and rebuild that and mix in moderate use housing and commercial as well. But we were looking at it also from what environmental sustainability initiatives we would do there, what kind of greening would we do, stormwater retention, and what kind of energy efficiency we would build into those buildings, as well as would we put EV charging there, would we put scooters and bikes, and could we do a microgrid or put solar there? So that's why I'm bringing in the solar. So things like that, different, like planning and zoning or public works is doing different projects where your program, your goal fits. We look for opportunities to advance those goals.
So there is so much going on. And I know, Jackie, you give us a ton of information at these meetings, which is great. But are there other places so that we understand all these different things that are going on? Is it just looking at the agendas and minutes that are posted online from all these many, many different groups? Or what is the best way to really get a understanding what's going on?
Yeah, that's one way to do it. We used to get, we should go back to the environmental committee, the standing committee has asked for this from planning and zoning. And this commission used to get the same thing from planning and zoning. So I've got to follow up with the director of planning and zoning about this. A list of the building projects and where they were in the process. So you would see if they're, if they've got their grading permit yet, if they've done their Forest Conservation Act review yet, and you would see where they were in the process, and you would see if you wanted, you could go online and look at the plans and see if we have any comments we want to make on them. And this commission used to do that. They had, one time they had a committee that was most interested in that, and that group might just look at development plans, and so you report back to this larger committee and say, we want to comment on this. And maybe a small group or one person would appear before the planning commission and make those comments for the environmental commission. They usually ask me to appear before at least the planning commission and put in my environmental comments, resilience comments, but that's me as staff. This commission is independent of me and can say what they please. I work for the city.
Mm-hmm. So, I think we saw that spreadsheet last time. Is that the spreadsheet that you're talking about? I don't know how we get to what they're doing. I
came in I was at another meeting, so I didn't see everything. I probably wasn't here for that. So
we did get one, but sorry to interrupt. We did get one, but it did seem like a lot of the projects were pretty far along.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was just if that's just how it was and there weren't a lot of new projects, but we did look at one.
Okay. And I remember when I was before the standing committee last time that I think they were pretty far along. That was the same list. So I'll make sure that this is the Department of Planning and Zoning provides it both to the standing committee and to the environmental commission at the same time.
Thank you. That would be great.
You're welcome.
And then, just maybe from the more experienced members, if there's ever tips you can pass along on how to kind of understand the whole picture, places to look for information, would love to chat with you guys. So
Kathy, I'm not that experienced either. I've only been on the board or the commission for a little over a year, and this is really a repeat of what I talked about last month, but one of the priorities is the urban tree canopy. And so I'm very focused on that. And what I want to do is just bring to the commission anything that's going on, within our community, that we can help advance to accomplish that 50% tree canopy goal that's outlined in the comprehensive plan, 2040 comprehensive plan. So it's so right now, actually, I'm in the process of kind of developing some testimony that I can bring to the city council and maybe recommend to you all to potentially do the same to support the increase in the urban foresters budget for this year. So that would be like an example of how we can affect, a priority. Is that a good example or?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the comp plan process started over 2 years ago, and this commission early on, planning and zoning came a couple of times and presented different pieces of it, especially the environmental pieces, to this commission. And this commission put together comments and submitted them. And it's been a while. So, and things have changed a little bit. So it's perfectly appropriate to take pieces of it and address it with written testimony and submit that to city council and also to planning and zoning. You know, I would do it to both so they have your comments, and then to direct them to the director and to planning and zoning, as well as the chief of comprehensive planning. And you also share them with city council. And then also you can testify before city council, before the standing committees when they're considering the comp plan. So that it doesn't have to be just on the tree part. You know, there's sustainability and resilience and environmental pieces woven through the comp plan. So that's perfect. That's a perfect thing to do.
Is there more force if, like Mary Ann, you're saying, you know, you're going to offer you want to offer testimony, but is it, if it's coming from our commission as opposed to us as an individual, is that more powerful? Does it make a difference? It should definitely come.
You can do it. Anyone can do it, obviously, as a resident. But if it comes from the committee, you should do it as the commission.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So what you know, in the area of the tree canopy, it would be on me to basically make a recommendation to the commission that, you know, that we should do whatever I'm recommending, and then you all say yes, let's do it, and then we formalize the recommendation. Is that correct, Jackie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all. This is helpful.
When you submit, let me just ask you to do something. When you submit testimony or anything to the mayor, to city council, to any department, will you please copy me so I'm not surprised? Oh, yeah. I'm pretty good at dancing, but you know, don't like to do it all the time.
And while we're on this topic, and I assume, but I want to confirm that, like, did everyone get an email from Hillary about a training for boards and commission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. I know Hillary has everyone's emails, but just wanted to verify. I don't think I'm going to make it, but the RSVP deadline is tomorrow. So if you haven't RSVP'd, please do so. And maybe I'll see you there, but hopefully some of you will get to meet each other in person, maybe.
Yeah, I'm planning to go. I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of better understand our work here.
Mm-hmm. And Kathy, I just sent you the link to the Google folder. So if you have any trouble, just message me.
Back to your question about how do you know about things that are going on besides looking at agendas and things like that. You can sign up to get agendas to as meetings. So, and I get them all. We just, just because of my position, I get them all. And when I get them, I open up the agenda to see if I'm needed there, so I can see what's on the agenda. So it just takes you to a Legistar link, so you can see what's on the agenda. And if you're interested in when there are ordinances or other things on there, there are links to the draft legislation, to the staff reports, to the fiscal reports. So you can read all of that at the same time, or any other appendices. You can see them. But what I will be doing, I know it's just me right now, I don't have Racine, and it's just me and my resilience fellow, is trying to get you as quickly as I can things that I think will be of interest to the commission. So if I think there's something coming out of transportation department, or planning and zoning, or public works, or emergency management that I think you might be interested in, or would like to should comment on, or might be interested in to comment on, or make a recommendation, I'll get it to the commission. I'll get it to Jeremy, so they can, I'll try to share things with all of you quickly. But if I think things can wait to be an agenda item, I'll just send them to Jeremy.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and I'll also be, I should be posting, HR should be posting Racine's environmental programs coordinator position by next week.
So, and until then, are you kind of our staff liaison for the commission until that's filled?
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to be looking for someone who is basically a project manager who can take, besides being the staff liaison to this commission and the Conservancy Board and keeping all our certifications up to date. Someone that can take our projects, create projects, implement them, manage them, look for grants, write grants, report against them, plan events to support like Earth Day, our Bird City certifications, things like that. Do our public outreach and communications around our city programs that are earth, environmental and resilience oriented, but take projects like the pollinator project at the solar park, research it, develop it, put it out for bid, manage it, implement it. Our greenhouse gas updates, do that. Anything like that. All those kinds of projects. Someone that is a self-starter, independent worker that can just jump in there and do it. And that's what I'm looking for.
Is that all?
That's all.
That sounds great.
It sounds like a really great job for someone who is a really good resume builder and great, management and development. And yep, I want someone to get so good they take over my job and kick me out. So that'll be hitting the streets next week, I think. Yeah, I think I have everything done for that. And that'll be open until filled.
Jackie, where is that posted? Where is that? Is it on the city website or is
It will
it?
be on the city website under our employment section. I think they link it to Indeed and some other places too.
Okay.
But I will share it with you guys when it's ready.
Yeah,
to roll.
that would, yeah, just,
Share with our own networks.
yeah.
Well, yeah, so I think we're kind of transitioning into our ongoing business. So before I forget, I just want to bring up the meeting minutes from February. Racine sent those out, add a few just like typo corrections, nothing major. But I want to bring those up so we can approve those. Were there any other edits or changes besides the typos I shared?
No, I read them. They look fine to me.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I motion to approve the February minutes as amended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. All right, well, February minutes as amended are approved. All right, so with that out of the way, the last thing we have are just city staff updates. I think we did get a resiliency development projects list update at some point, or am I thinking, or I'm blending my months together? But there,
Nope,
we
you
did
did.
list a few things in the agenda that I'd spoken to Racine about, like the CNI, ACA, redevelopment status or update, the water access plan, the noise ordinance, Hopkins Cove, composting, just as some of those, but I think I also had a question, or I think we had questions last time about the Athens project and that status, if there's anything new. I think at some point when I drove by it, the gate looked like it had been knocked down or maybe lowered, and I wasn't sure if that meant anything, or I could be wrong, but just,
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you, Jackie.
Okay, Athens. I thought Racine updated us on Athens. I will find out about Athens. What's going on there? I know that I thought that project was ready. I thought that final permitting was done of that, but then Alderwoman Finlayson asked about the access road. So there's a question about the access road on it. So I need to check in with planning and zoning on that to see if it really is going to final permitting. So there's a question mark there on that. You asked about Hawkins Cove. Hawkins Cove, they're at like 30% design. A public meeting was held last week at Pip Moyer. to get feedback. It was very lightly attended. Right now, there's a living shoreline, kind of a curved design on Hawkins Cove. Remove the bulkhead, reroute a pipe drain. There's some failed bioretention ponds and things like that that need to be integrated into the living shoreline. There's a kayak launch, improvements to the pier. We're working on some dredging money to dredge a channel in Hawkins Cove so that we can get like a water taxi back there or some small watercraft. As you all know, it's low tide. It's a mud flat there, so there have to be some dredging in order to even to get paddle boards and kayaks, to the shore where we have the paddle launch area. We talked about some passive use, adding some benches and picnic areas. Most of the concern was, don't do too much there, leave it natural, and make the trail safe. That seems to be ongoing. It's always been the concern there, and so that's always been kind of the plan. So now we've continued the contract with Bayland, and we'll move into the final design stages. And there's some Army Corps of Engineer kind of process we have to go through. I mean, things like this take a while. So hopefully we'll start to see things really move in 2025. Like we'll actually get into construction in 2025. There's a lot of pre-planning, pre-surveying work that has to go on first. So that's where we stand there. We always wanted to make a connection over to Truxton Park. And I actually was walking around. We have money from that project also to do trail improvements that connect over to Truxton. I was walking around my DNR this week on the trails at Truxton. And if you've ever walked them, you see how severely eroded they are. We've made some preliminary rerouting of the trails that go along the water. There's a lot of kind of social trails, and there's roots that are exposed, 12 inches into the air, areas that have just dropped off altogether, and get a lot of sediment runoff into Spa Creek whenever it rains. So we are looking at doing a whole trail rerouting and then shore stabilization project. This will be a really big project to do the shore stabilization part of it, and revegetate the shoreline. I'm not sure what the stabilization will, if it's going to be hard ornament, but armoring or all natural. We haven't gotten the design part of that yet, and don't have a consultant on board. This is all very, very, very pre stages. And then we will build, this is the preliminary design, the concept that we submitted if it's part of the grant proposal was to, we're submitting as part of the grant proposal, is to have a couple of designated fishing areas. So we would direct people away from kind of the social trails and have a pathway with a small kind of platform where people could fish off of, and then have a couple of nature viewing areas. So try to have some directed viewing areas, directed fishing areas, and keep people from making their own trails. And then direct the walking areas a little bit away from the water, with the hopes that we could put a trail closer to the water in the future when the shoreline and the steeper areas have stabilized a bit more. And part of it's going to be rerouting stormwater so it doesn't continue to erode out the shoreline there. So that's Hawkins Cove is one project, and then we have the Truxton part of it as a separate project.
They're right next together, right? I mean, they're just right adjacent to each other. Yeah, that's great.
It's a tie-in because
yeah, that's great.
And then also we're there's the planning for Cars Beach. The master plan for that park is in design. The shoreline design has already been done. We have funding for that, but for the whole park area, Recreation and Parks is working on a master plan for that. As you know, we acquired the adjacent Moore property. So we have the original Cars Beach that we acquired first, and now we have the adjacent property. So we're putting that all together. And then we also have funding for the Robert Eads Park project off of Clay Street. We have funding that we believe will come in July that will allow us to double the size of that original project. So it will include a rerouting of Clay Street to straighten it out a little bit, but it will double the size of the park, which will allow us to create some real usable, programmable space, and maybe allow us to do something like a kayak launch down there too. Right now, it's kind of, you just kind of get to stand there. The original plan was just to pretty it up, make it ADA accessible, and you could kind of stand and look at the water. But we're trying to make it perhaps could be a public access point, but definitely a much larger park in a disadvantaged neighborhood. So those are park projects that are going on. And what was the other one you guys asked about? You asked about Athens, you asked about Hawkins Cove.
Well, I think I had seen some news about the CNI HACA grant or project clearing another step or hurdle. Not sure if that's ringing a bell for you. Like they got, it was, I think HUD approved it or did something. I wasn't sure if that was still news.
I'm not sure which hurdle they cleared recently.
Well, never mind. No,
yeah.
I remember seeing something in like the Baltimore Banner or something about it, but I just didn't fully grasp what it was. So I was just trying to get a little more information about that for the group.
More information about what's going on with CNI. Since Tilly mentioned the e-ferry, the ferry, we're trying to get the RFP for the e-ferry out on the street. We're being held up by the NEPA process on it, the National Environmental Policy Act evaluation on the landing sites. We have some preliminary design for, well, City Dock doesn't take much of a design because we're just using the dock space there. We just have to put in charging infrastructure. On the Eastport side, we did some initial design. We had a consultant look at the 5th Street area where that needs to be addressed anyway because we have flooding there. And I submitted some of those ideas to the Maryland Transit Authority, who's doing our NEPA analysis for us, and they just need some additional information. And hopefully we could just get a categorical exclusion and we don't have to do a full-blown environmental analysis there, and we can just move on to being allowed to order our ferry, to put out the bid for ferries. And it's very basically a small vessel, probably 35 feet, just to allow passengers and bicycles to go back and forth across Spot Creek initially. So hopefully that will go out and within the next month, the RFP, and we can get started on constructing the landing site and building the infrastructure and getting the ferry ordered. While we were talking, I sent a message over to Planning and Zoning asking about who our new vendor is on our e-bikes and scooters, because our vendor did go out of business, but we were getting a new vendor. And also I sent a message over to Public Works about the food scrap pickup, if that's still alive, as a potential curbside composting program. So I'm waiting on answers from them.
So to be clear, the e-bikes and scooters, that was the Bird company that's no longer.
That's Bird, okay. Yeah. We'll be working with Bird anymore. Yeah. Bird said that we should have a seamless transition. So.
And I do live in Hunt Meadow and I do participate in the composting program. I think I paid $22 a month. So yeah, I don't know any other.
Yeah, that's
doing that, but.
Yeah. Okay, and let's see. I think those are the answers to the questions you guys had.
I think did you cover the noise ordinance? I forget what the status.
Yeah.
Did that pass?
Yeah, that passed. Okay. Yeah.
Could you remind us about last month? Remind us about the basics of that.
Okay, so takes effect. Yeah, it takes effect at the end of the year, December 31st. So basically, well, January 1st. And the part we were most concerned with is gas powered leaf blower ban. And so no gas powered leaf blowers will be allowed to be used in the city. They can be sold in the city, but not used in the city. So that applies to residential use, landscapers, commercial properties, residential properties, everybody. And that goes into effect at the end of the year. So again, I'd asked Racine to provide you with the memorandum. Again, I can get you that I had our resilience fellow prepare for as part of the staff. It went into our staff report, but I had a separate memo prepared on the health effects, what other Maryland jurisdictions are doing, equity, all sorts of different background on it. It's about a 5-page report we ended up putting together on gas-powered leaf blowers. I'm using him for basically as a legislative aid. He's doing something for me on EV readiness, making buildings EV ready and buildings solar ready. And he's also doing research for me on anti-idling legislation now.
So that Jackie, that just applies to the city. So not the Naval Academy, not state property.
The city applies to the city. The state has its own gas powered leaf blower ban for state properties.
Yeah. Okay.
They actually have a ban on all gas powered landscaping equipment on their properties.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Jackie, about the idling. There's already a state law on idling. So are we enhancing that?
Well, I'm not saying we're doing anything. I'm just doing research right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that covers everything I had on my list, but I think I'm realizing now, I think last month, Bill, we talked about trash on roadways, and I can't remember what we agreed we'd circle back on.
Yeah, Bill asked about the trash on the roadway, and I did inform Public Works about the trash that Bill talked about. And I don't know if they went out there and did anything about it yet, but what I learned was they don't do specific cleanups at specific times. If they get a complaint about a certain area, they will go out and do a cleanup there. What they do is they clean up when they do their regular maintenance and cutting. So when they go cut or trim or weed whack, they do clean up at the same time unless they receive a complaint.
Okay. I don't know if you've been down Admiral Drive, but you could clean that up, seems like all the time. And it's not just little pieces of trash. I mean, people use it as a dump. It's like mattresses and paint buckets and everything else. It's nasty down there. But thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate you doing that.
Yep.
I also had a question for you, Jackie. Jared used to do half-price compost bins in the springtime, and so I was curious if you've heard if that kind of thing happens or is happening this year, and also if there's a tree giveaway planned for this year.
Oh, tree giveaway. Usually they do the tree giveaway at Arbor Day. And Brian Adams, or the city forester, does that. He usually gets donations of trees from a nonprofit, tree nonprofit. And so he is able to do that. I can check with him and see if he's going to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Jared, I don't know, but we can find out from Jared too. Okay. Maybe Jared's wife. I think Jared's busy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, other questions from Jackie on anything we've mentioned or haven't gotten around to? Otherwise, I know, Jackie, you're also very attuned to the State House, so I'm not sure if there was anything worth mentioning as far as the session.
Yeah, there's a number of, a lot of bills are introduced. I know because I had to comment on all of them, but they haven't fared well. And actually tomorrow I have a meeting on the bills to see what's moving forward and what's died and what needs help. I think there may be, one solar bill, like a community solar that's still active. I think that there's maybe one on transportation where there may be some money coming to areas for EV infrastructure and some for EV fleet. But I'm reluctant to say what's going on still because it's been a very sad year for the environment. Everyone's really despondent about it. It just hasn't gone well. So I can do is send this group an update after tomorrow because I'll have better news. A lot of my people that work in my sort of position in other cities and counties who have much more staff can actually spend all of their time over at the General Assembly, and they have quite a good update for us on once a month. So that's tomorrow. I will let you know if there's anything that's really, we think it's going to be really going to keep moving and be useful.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Oh, and there's one other thing we're doing, I meant to mention, with the resilient, I work a lot with Matt Fleming, the director of the Resilience Authority, on funding on regional projects because we can do that through the Resilience Authority. I can apply for money that we can't do just for the city, but we can regionally, we can do that through the Resilience Authority. We did apply and received money for a regional project. It was Columbia and Baltimore and Anne Arundel County and City of Annapolis. It was a metropolitan statistical area. And we did a greenhouse gas kind of evaluation of the area. And in it, there was a priority plan for initiatives. We've now applied based on that priority plan, which I need to go back. I've just skimmed. I can't really talk about it because I just skimmed it so far. We've applied. We're putting together another applications due April 15th, where we're going to dive deeper and based on that plan, ask for more money. And we're talking over $1 million now to do to look at ways in which we could further reduce our carbon footprint in that statistical area. So in the Baltimore metropolitan areas, we're calling it. And that would be through EV infrastructure, through solar, through carbon waste, decarbonization efforts, and investigate other areas where we could just reduce our carbon footprint. So I'm working with several jurisdictions and putting that grant together and trying to get that in by April 15th. So some larger sums of money we may be coming our way so we can do things on a larger geographical area.
Well, I don't mind ending a little early, but if there are questions, we still have time.
I feel like we covered a lot tonight.
We
Learned
did.
a lot.
Yeah, we did. And with April coming up, there's going to be a lot happening and going on in the city, and just it's April.
Yeah.
So, Earth Day, Arbor Day, it's always a busy month.
So if you guys are in the city and you get a chance to stop at City Hall, as part of our Bird City certification, we have to do something Bird City oriented every year. And this year, Racine put together a Bird City photo contest. And so we have in City Hall for the whole month and for all of April, the people who submitted bird photographs, and they're gorgeous. And these are amateurs, and it's gorgeous. So the Wild Birds, she's out of Gambrels, the woman who owns this Wild Birds store, she gave the prizes for it. They're bird feeders, and she gave out prizes, like first, second, third, fourth, fifth prizes for that. And we had a little reception last night for the winners, and there's ribbons on the photos. But if you get a chance, stop in and look at it. I mean, I was amazed. Yeah, they're really, really good. So they'll be up through April. And the other thing I was working on is our zero waste policy. I'm trying to get that out before Earth Day as part of it. It's the theme for Earth Day this year nationally is plastics versus the planet. So I'm trying to get our zero waste policy done before Earth Day to be in line with that. And our zero waste policy is really internal to the city, like what we do as far as our own offices and our own internal events. And the idea was we're doing it as a recommendation on permits for others when they do get a permit to do an event in the city. When I first proposed this a couple of years ago, the city wasn't ready to do it as legislation. They said, let's do it first internally. We've been doing that as a practice, but we didn't put it in written policy. So I'm doing that now, and then we'll see if we actually move forward with it as legislation. But 2 years ago, we weren't ready to do that.
Oh, great. One more call. Any good topics, questions? All right. Well, I'll thank everyone for coming and making it here again tonight. Good turnout. Glad we could hear from Tilly. We'll spend some time in April on priorities, but if there's other ideas for maybe a little more side conversation to accompany that, please reach out. And that was, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Bill. Second?
Second.
Linda, thank you. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. All right, hearing none. We will adjourn for the evening and reconvene at our April meeting. Thank you all very much.